And there we are. We'll just give it a second to populate throughout and see where we land.
Where do we land, Trevor? Do we land in this
The,
Earth?
it'll be the New Dad tour. And like first, we'll hit the Nordic countries first. So we'll go up to Sweden, Finland, like go visit all the Nordic countries, swing around to Iceland, visit the place of God of War.
See, in our minivan though. It's got to be in the dad minivan,
With the wood paneling on this.
spoons kind of style.
Do you think they sell stickers that like just so you can re-add that wood paneling to the side of your car?
And if they don't, I think that's a great idea, and we should just full fledged
Then-
into it. Red bubble something.
It's another New Dad first. God, that would be some nice detailing. All right, let's kick her off for the evening. The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
So we are fast approaching summer.
Yes.
In Canada, we have just broken, and I'm sure northern United States is feeling the same type of pain, but we are just broken the cold. We're starting to get some real hot days starting to show up, so the nonsense of spring is almost behind us. And that could only mean the summer of beers.
That's right. Summer of beers. Back again.
So Jeff had put it out as a poll, and he was watching as I got angrier and angrier. Because some percentage of... So Jeff had put out as a poll on Twitter, should New Dad Gaming bring back our Summer of Beers part of the podcast? Overwhelmingly, and thank you to listeners, 83% says yes, love hearing it. But 12% said no. 12% said nah, save the effort.
Save the effort. You can just, structured it like a meme. Like, nah, don't bother.
It's like, come on, guys, what's up? This is about dads supporting dads, and this is one of our favorite parts of summer. How are you going to do us? But you can't focus on those. You can't please everybody. 83% say go for it. We are really excited for that. As always, what we're looking for as much as possible is recommendations. Does any listeners have a good beer recommendation to try? I remember last summer, I think I went to some 4 odd LCBOs at beer stores trying to find one.
Yes, same here. I remember that. Couldn't find it.
We had a few wins. I remember we were told by one guest podcast, the GNA podcast, to check out the beer from Letterkenny, which that ended up being on the show. Like, it happens. So one of our favorite parts of it. So if you reach out to us on Twitter at New Dad Gaming or our website newdadgaming.com and you have a beer for us to try, we would love to do so. We'd love to get it on the show. So we're both in Ontario. We're going to be, which tends to have a fairly good beer selection.
Yeah.
So we would certainly try our best to see what we can do. And LCBO, they are one of our liquor stores. They do fairly well with ordering it too. So we can even maybe have a blowout with a couple special ones.
I like how this is shaping up, right? Like, I think we got a whole plan moving ahead. We got a goal. People cheering us on.
So I think we'll go for the entire summer. I think we're thinking June, July, August.
Yeah.
Get your recommendations in. Cannot wait for it to get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the only thing that goes better than nuts with beers would be games with beers. Nuts was not a great pull.
No, that was a stretch.
Pretzels, baseball, like anything.
Yeah, something.
Anyways.
Somewhere. Fire pit. I don't know.
But games go great with beers. Jeff, you've found, seems like a bit of a hidden gem and something I had not ever heard of before.
No, I haven't heard of this either. And it's kind of a silly name. So the game is called Victor Vran. VRAN. Victor Vran. And you're like, why would you ever look at this thing? But my 9-year-old now wanted to play a game together. And of course, absolutely, I would love to. But they were really set on Diablo 3. And I have just had about enough of going through Diablo 3 for the zillionth time. And zillions of menus co-op with them. So I was looking up some other alternatives on the PlayStation Network while they were upstairs cleaning the room, getting ready for our co-op experience. And this one popped up on sale for like $8. And it's like this Diablo-esque top-down action RPG couch co-op with 2 players.
Excellent.
And I'm like, this totally fits the bill. It's got power-ups, weapons, tons of enemies. It looks cleaner than I think Diablo 3, just in terms of like it's less stuff going on, but it definitely doesn't have the polish of like a Blizzard game, right? Like you're not going up against Blizzard and shining next to that game.
But I'll say like I saw it and I was immediately charmed by it. And I'll tell you for this because I Diablo and some of the other one Diablo likes, they just get so deep so quickly. Yeah, there's so much about optimizing every little nuance of it with these crazy builds. So I love the format, but sometimes the kind of nonsense, honestly, like they so desperately want there to be replayability and seasons and these other parts of it.
Yeah.
So the complexity just stacks astronomically,
Exponentially, yeah.
ramps up crazy, right? So this looks so basic,
Yeah.
and that I mean that as a compliment. Like this is like approachable. You're gonna smack some skeletons in the face, and then you're gonna get a better sword, and then the smacking of the skeletons is gonna be a little easier. Repeat, and it's like excellent.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it fit the bill. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And what made it for me, and I like audibly screamed when I got into the game, was Geralt is the voice. So
Geralt,
the voice actor,
wow,
plays in here and narrates you going through, and is literally like a Witcher. So like demon slayer or whatever, but they have powers. They have brothers they need to find that have been corrupted. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. it's like DLC for Witcher for me.
It's like this is like a fever dream the Witcher has. Then you're just playing through it.
Yeah. So I was right in there, man. This is perfect. Again,
So cool.
my 9-year-old just took he again loved this game. We played it for a couple hours, which hasn't happened in a while. Like 2 straight hours, and that was a long play session. I usually don't do that too much with my kids, just give them a break. But 2 hours went by. I'm like, oh my god, it's time for lunch. Like we've been playing this just because it's so much fun, and it again lures you in. It's just a playful time. You can die and respawn. Like it does have difficulty there, but it's not like going to send you back to the beginning of the world and that be it. So we helped each other out. My 9-year-old was killing it in here. They were helping me out, reviving me. Nice. And it was just a great time. And it also has a jump button, which I don't know how much that changed the mechanic, but it kind of delivered on a lot of the stuff that was kind of missing from Diablo. Like I would want to jump and attack or something. So a jump button works wonders. I don't know. Something simple as that.
Excellent. God, you like to see it. So it looks like it's built by a competent developer with maybe not the biggest budget.
No, yeah, it's definitely scaled back a little bit. So
you look at all the mechanics, and it's just like seems very well done. So I think we'll just check it out. So that's a gaming dad recommendation.
Yes,
Victor
absolutely.
Vran.
Victor Vran.
Especially for the couch co-op with the little one. That's fantastic.
Yeah, $8 can't go wrong. Right now on sale at least. So
that was a big win, but you alluded to and refused to tell me about a situation that had happened, and we creatively titled it as Whoopsie. So to counter your great win, what went wrong?
Right. So the Whoopsie, and I wasn't going to let you in on it, was just like, again, working on this podcast together, you influence each other's purchasing.
Oh,
right?
No, you didn't.
So I had in my cart from, I think, last week or the week before, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, wait until this goes on sale. Sure enough, this week it's on sale. And I'm looking at that other game, Victor Vran, and I'm like, oh, add to cart. And I'm on my mobile PlayStation app, and it's in there. I'm like, purchase.
Oh, jeez.
I did not realize Pillars of Eternity was also in there.
Oh my goodness.
So
welcome. You did it.
My backlog is now hundreds of hours long. Thank you, Trevor.
You'll never finish it. Hooray. How do you like reading, Jeff?
Oh my god, yeah. I was looking it up and I'm like, oh, this is a big game. And I remember just ribbing you about it. I'm like, how are you ever gonna find time for something like that in a world like this?
All the characters, like, do you like a good Tolkien novel with your game? How about 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 or 3 and just smash it together and just it's intense, man. It looks deep. So
it was upsetting because it's so great. I wish I had the time for it, because I remember the point I realized I was really in trouble is side character 6 joined my party.
Okay.
and I was talking, like, it's before kind of like the next mission. I'm talking to him, and it was amazing. Like, it was so interesting. This guy was fantastic. So I'm reading his text, like some of it's like audio dialogue, and next, like now it's been probably like 10 minutes of just talking to this one guy for backstory.
Ah, damn it.
Character 6 of, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna be able to do this, man. Like, I could speed run it, but like that's not the point. This game is not to be sped run. It's to be like savored and enjoyed. It's just so cool. So I don't know if you're in a slightly different dad phase. Like, you have, I think, slightly more time than I do. You might be able to pull it off, and maybe it just hooks you, and it's of quality enough that it might be worth it. I don't know how to phrase it to you.
I mean, I hope so. Part of this that scared me a little was I think it's called the Ultimate Edition. I'm like, oh no, it includes like, what
DLC.
DLCs does this have? That's another 80 hours on top of that. I'm like, well, there's a couple other books in there that you mentioned that, again, the text heavy and story. Like, I like a good story. Again, I mentioned Witcher just previously, like, but in the phase that I'm in right now, I could play it with the kids around and stuff, but they get annoyed at the amount of
Reading,
quote unquote story. They said just skip the story in a lot of the games that I play.
Oh, okay.
So it might not work when they're around, but
No.
I still have tons of games to beat. I mean, this is a mistake.
This is
not gonna work out.
It's a horrendous mistake you've made.
Yeah.
But poke it. I don't. It might be your jam. It might be this year's Witcher, for all you know. Don't.
That's a bold statement. I don't know. All right, we're gonna have to circle back to that one at the end of the year and see.
I would challenge you to get into it a bit. Like, get past like the first couple missions, see where it gets to, and see if it strikes you. Try to get to the first. There's a town. I don't think there's much spoiler. There's a town, and a bunch of people have been hung.
Okay.
Sounds
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get that far, and then see like, and get some of the characters. Because some of the characters in there are pretty sweet. I like them.
Okay.
And then at that point, kind of like, man, you make me want to go back and play it right now. But it's like,
I mean, watching the trailer after I bought this game, watching the trailer for, like, I did it reverse order. It's kind of neat because it has the real-time pause where I'm like, well, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but also turn-based. So I'm like, oh, I kind of like my turn-based games. See how that works. And you can only choose one, and then, like, that's your game. You can't go back and forth. So maybe I'll try it just with turn-based just to see, and then get to the village that you mentioned, or the tree with ornaments, human ornaments, and we'll take it from there.
Depending on your angle too. So like what I found, and I appreciate this so much with games, is that it does have dad mode. So it ramps it down to like, you still want to fight, but ultimately, like, you're not really going to be pressed too much, except for us the boss battles. And then they literally just have story mode, where I think you'll fight, but you're not really you'll never die. Basically, It's like what that one goes for. So if you want to just like get in and go through the motions and kind of like make some decisions, but ultimately just enjoy it, I do love that as an option. I love my cheats. So.
I was about to say, I'm like, especially with a game like that where I'm not sure about the difficulty spikes later on. So if you choose something like story mode, you're not in any like immediate danger of like, I built my character totally wrong. Like, I have no idea what's going on, right? So
these 80 hours are useless to me.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta go back to my save. That's 100 hours ago.
It's a weird dad moment, really, like a true gaming dad moment, when you pick up a game like that, and it's the pull of your old gaming self, where it's like, I want to immerse myself in this, I want to read the lore, I want to go on some side quests and enjoy this. But then your kid wakes up from a nightmare, and you got to go upstairs and like, well, today's gaming night is done. So the push and pull between like the complete lack of time that we have versus the pull of our old selves, where we used to be able to get into these kind of games.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that. So I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a whirl. I'll report back and let everyone know about my mystery Whoopsie purchase.
Whoopsie. Okay, I'll be honest. I thought you were going to say Steam Deck.
Oh my God, that would be a big whoopsie.
That's just sleeping on the couch. Like, that's some real stirring conversation kind of whoopsie. So this sounds a bit more palatable.
Yeah, we'll wait for that second whoopsie later on.
Yeah. Now, my city had a whoopsie, and that whoopsie included the power going out for 24 straight hours. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Like that's obviously the most important thing, but it was a very serious storm that came through and
Yeah.
knocked out power. Things completely gone. So we're on the weekend, like family days, as we like to say, and didn't have any electricity flowing to the house. So a lot of gaming options were off the table. And one of the favorite parts of it was that they had the Switch, and it had some charge.
Oh no.
So,
Okay.
so we get back from we just missed the storm and got back home. Power's completely out, and they're playing, and they probably have like I can see the bar. It's like you guys probably got like 20 minutes of game time before this all goes down. So I'm massaging that message to them, and I just see it, and you just see them like barreling
sliding
towards that,
down.
just
Yep.
barreling towards that cliff. You're like, oh, you're not gonna like this. So over the course of the next, like every hour or so, they ask like, hey, is the power back? It's like, do you see lights, son? Like, is anything else on in the house? Like, no, it's not. It's like, well, what about internet? And it's like,
Yep.
the internet needs internet, or the internet needs power, son. That doesn't work that way. So they just had this like, I don't want to call it miserable. Of course, like I've always liked about them is that they tend to bounce back. In that, like, can we play this? No. Oh no, I'm really upset. Like a couple beats later, and then they pick up their toys
Right.
and kind of go at it.
Yeah.
That's been great. So it was kind of this forced screenless scenario where they didn't have any gaming over the weekend, just had to go back to some toys, like do some crafts and head outside for the second day when it wasn't raining. And just like that constant, it's like, is there electricity yet? Is there electricity yet? Is there electricity yet?
I mean, I would be saying that after 24 hours too. I'm like, there's a lot riding on electricity these days. Like I am surrounded by smart bulbs and Google Homes and a lot of stuff that, again, is powered everything by internet and electricity. So when that goes out, I can totally see the kids are just like, now what? What do you mean? What? Anything I'm used to is gone. But we only had it like 20 minutes here, same storm. You guys got it a lot worse than us. And even then, our Switch was like, it was being used, but then I didn't check the battery power on that thing, but they play intense games that heats up that sucker, right? Like, so it's not like gonna last forever. And maybe that's where, Nintendo kind of knows what it's doing, but I still remember those Game Boy games, Game Boy days where it was just, you could run that thing for like years and it'd still be like ticking along. Like, obviously, intensity of the game's not the same thing, but wow, like
It would
that
go.
Switch just bleeds energy.
Well, the best part too, even with the Game Boy, is just like, oh no, the batteries, like slap
Pop, pop, pop.
four new,
Yeah,
cranking your four new double A's, and like, bam, you back to the races.
yeah,
God, yeah, man, that's so like after all this time, that like to see people still reflect so fondly back on that handheld system. Like,
yeah, right.
Because think how the Wii is kind of fallen out in fashion. Like I don't think that many people now. It was a great time, but I don't think anyone's like pining for the Wii days. And perhaps like it's not enough time, like necessarily past. What I could say, for instance, that you don't see the same pining for the Game Gear. It's like a Game Gear,
True.
right? Because it wasn't as well built ultimately as the Nintendo didn't have the same type of awesome games. It had
Yeah.
a much better screen and everything else, right? But it just wasn't as good. There's something so wild about the Game Boy that
Yeah.
it still holds so much power after all this time.
I had those games. I kept everything for the longest time before I finally like garage saled it. I'm like, no, I'll give it away. This is it.
Yeah.
I decked that thing out too. I had stickers all over it. Like I was a mess. I never do that to any of my systems. And maybe that was like the one system where like the whole faceplate was a sticker that I got in like a Nintendo Power one time. Like
Wow.
just to the nines. And I just remember that thing hung around like it was a savior in all car trips and all power outages. It was the best thing. It was like my little buddy, my little extra brother, because they did have a brother, but like part of the family. So I don't know.
Pour one out for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something seems to be lost. I thought about it. So you'll remember I bought the emulator.
Right.
Now
Yes.
I had it and it's fully charged. It was ready to go.
Okay.
But I really did like the no screen thing.
Okay.
It's like
yeah.
they got their little taste of games, so it's like, all right, come on back. Like I know weekends are more your gaming prime time. I don't want to take that away fully.
Right.
But oh no, the electricity. You can't No more games. Ah, well, just play with the toys. Like, let's get creative. Let's see where we can go.
Yeah.
I could have broken it up with the retro handheld, but it's just like, nah, let's let them
Just take it.
just
Yeah.
go. Just
Yeah.
like,
Meanwhile, you're off in the bathroom, just like playing it. You're like, just leave me alone.
well, the one break was eventually they did ask kindly, like after like a big full day, they asked like, could we maybe play a game on your iPad?
Okay.
In my iPad, I truly do use that for work, so I don't tend to let them play too much. But I got a couple games loaded up, and we all kind of snuggled around together with the screen, of which I kind of forget how amazing iPad games actually are. The menu systems, the fidelity, like it's pretty ridiculous. I think pressed for choice, you could probably be a full-time gamer, hashtag gamer, whatever. But you could be a full-time gamer on the iPad. Like that could just be your system of choice, really.
Could be. It won't be for me, but it could be.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Snob. There's your next challenge. You got to drink these beers.
That's
You
right.
gotta play
That's
Pillars
right.
of Eternity, and then you got to use nothing but your iPad.
I'll stream it to the iPad. Yeah, exactly. That's how I'm going to be
iPad.
able to play. Honestly.
Oh, now that we pine for a lost time, but I can say that speaking of kind of a whoopsie, I was pining for a lost kid because it probably was 20 minutes. My wife and I lost our son at
Oh,
a
no.
festival. Yeah, it was woof. It's and it we had been holding hands the whole time. It was a big, so it's a Tulip Festival up here in Ottawa. Very crowded this year. I think kind of like pent up demand from like previous years from the pandemic, and everybody was holding hands, walking across this way, and then 1 millisecond, 2 millisecond, gone,
Gone.
just gone. So the first, then you're scaling of panic and worry, and just trying to keep your like head in check
Yeah.
because it's the immediate like, okay, just take a look around, get some calling, let's see what it is, and then he doesn't show up for 5, and it's like, okay, this is like, and not. This is worrisome. Like, where are we gonna go? And I guess at 10 minutes, and you just kind of keep going. And the thought was, it wasn't so much. And I'll say this too. We said this before the show. I don't have worries about him being like taken, for instance. I mean, the stats about that are fairly clear. Like 95% of all abductions happen from family members.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this is it. Like you don't have weirdos sitting at very public big festivals waiting for a kid to kind of wander off, for him to sneak up and like put him into like a big duffel bag and run away. Like that type of nonsense doesn't happen, or to any degree at which it warrants worries. It was more, this has never happened to him at this age. What's his thinking? I'm trying to get in his head. Like
Right, yeah,
how
that's
would
true.
he handle it? What's he
Yeah.
think? Is he gonna sit down and be upset? Is he gonna just like pick away and just start bolting? Is he going to try to cross the street and get back to the car? Like what's his process? Fortunately, when we did find him, so I think it was a good 15, 20 minutes later, his process was to try to kind of locate the car.
Okay.
Is I was trying to find where the car was, but I didn't want to cross the road because I know I'm supposed to wait for you guys for that.
That's good thinking.
And like, and I was going back to the car, and then in so doing, I saw him across the way, and like there it was, waved, and totally fine.
Yeah.
So that all's well that ends well. So the two funny parts are trying to get into his head. Okay, what this particular son, what would he do?
Okay, I'm small. Did you get down low and be like, I'm small? What
Get
do
on
I
my
want to
knees.
see? It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, where would I go?
Okay, what's my first thought? I want to play the Switch. Okay, what's my second thought? I hate my
I
brother.
gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's my fourth thought? Getting to like the 10th thought before you find anything useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fortunately he handled it quite well. He tends to be fairly reasonable and confident. So like both of us, my wife and I talked afterwards. It wasn't really we weren't crazy panicked, but we were certainly like concerned and worried. So not to like minimize it. The second
Yeah.
part was, and this is what I almost put out to all gaming dads listening, it was I was going to have to talk with him afterwards. Like, all right, if this ever happens again, here's what you should do.
Right. Okay.
And then I paused, like, I don't know what to say.
There's so many scenarios. Like,
Yeah, it's like I gotta be real careful about this because this is a key.
Yeah.
So the ones I came up about is like, if that ever happens, don't just go with anybody. Like generally people are very nice. Some people are gonna want to help you, but you should be looking for somebody in a uniform like a police officer, someone, a paramedic, like somebody who works there. You want to like ideally go trust like somebody who in a uniform who works there. Okay, not just like any stranger. Don't go with some stranger. Try to stay put.
Right.
Right. Um, the best one is like, it's like, what's my full name?
Oh no.
It's like, son, what's my name?
Oh my god, it's like, can you describe this kid? And you give the name, and the kid's like, it's not my name. I don't
That's not my
know.
name. So the best part is, and he got his full name. It's like, what's
Okay.
your first name? What's your last name? He's like, great. It's like, what's your first name? What's my first name? Trevor. What's my last name? And it's the same. Son, it's the same. You have my name. My last name is yours. He's like, oh,
I got
okay.
it. Okay. Well, it's a good thing that you had that talk and straighten that out, because otherwise it'd be like really awkward in front of people where you're like, blink twice if you're.
Richard. And then we had him practice his mom's name. She
Yeah.
doesn't have my last name. So we were just like, we kind of drilling it through. So I think that's where we landed. Like you must have had this kind of talk how was that set of advice, and was there anything you would have added on or that could perhaps add on to him?
Yeah. So we have gone on vacation before where it's not a resort or anything, but when we're staying in a hotel and maybe we're going to like play place or something, we'll like write our hotel room number on the kids, like either it's on their arm or on their shirt. Again, it's nothing you want to like totally ruin, but as just like a failsafe, because they were younger, so maybe around your kid's age right now, but or a little bit younger than that. So they really, I don't think, weren't able to process a situation like that properly. I do remember being at one of those play places, and you know how they like basically like lock the door, so you know that the kids are in there. But I remember looking up, and my kids are just white blonde kids. So like in a sea of just white blonde kids, I'm like, well, he's in there somewhere. I don't know. Just
He's one of them.
he's one of them. I don't know. It was a friend's party or whatever at a play place. So I'm like, they at least can't escape, or maybe they can. I don't know. There's kids that know how to get out of those things. But yeah, like again, I think it's a good conversation to have. You can't cover all scenarios. It's very hard. I think at one point we said, worst case scenario, go with like a mom, like a woman. Like they're the ones that are probably more likely.
It's a shame to say that, but if you like absolute worst case, like if you have to go like absolute base instinct, like nothing goes. It's not bad. It's the better advice. If you
Again,
have
what
to
are they
go-
going to do? My kids aren't going to follow any of this advice. They're going to be like dancing with some random kid in a field or something, or like probably behind the cashier at some store. I don't know. Like,
Do you want some candy? Damn right I do. Just like,
yeah,
you want to play the Switch? Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Is it fully powered?
Let's go. Let's go. They're closing the door themselves. And like,
You beat me at this match in Smash Brothers, and you come with me. Well,
oh Lord.
lost.
Yeah. So fortunately, again, he had kind of a decent wherewithal, and we kept our head on our shoulders, just trying to like kind of relax. And it's like, fortunately, it's a safe city. It was a safe like public space, so like we weren't going to be flying off the handle, but certainly worrisome. And it brought up a good opportunity to have the chat, the conversation that like, you ever get separated, like again, like what's my name?
I was gonna say it's like a good conversation to give him an iPhone and like give my device or AirTag him.
I've often wondered about like I would like them to have a lot of independence. I have heard about a product where I think it's a watch, and the watch connects to your data plan, and then like it's basically just acts as a walkie-talkie, so it's not a phone,
Right.
but they can call you and you can call them.
Yeah.
And it's got like some degree of tracking on it, and that's more just to give them that confidence that like, look, if, like you don't know where you are, just like give a press. I'll find you. We'll have a chat.
Yeah.
So that at least sounds fine.
At least that or a flare gun. Something. You know.
It's true. I don't know if the Switch. Like, see, it's a good case for them to have a Switch or a DS at all times. Like, find my Switch.
That's right. Yeah,
Make it just on the map.
It's out of power. Oh no.
Yeah. So a good call to all gaming dads. Hey, as your kid gets older, to have the conversation. Think about it when going public spaces. And if anyone has a recommendation for us, reach out to us on Twitter and our website. But before I give all that out, there's another call for requests, because that same son, who we fortunately still have, he has his birthday coming up, so he's turning 7
Oh.
at the end of this month, and Grandma asked we'd like to get him a game, and we know he likes to switch. Like, what game should we get him?
Okay.
It was kind of like, this is hard. Because we have many factors here. Firstly, there's the Nintendo tax. So anything even resembling a Mario is going to be the $80 to $90 range. That
Yeah,
sucks. Like,
Does Grandma know that? Like, is Grandma like, I'll give you
I-
2 nickels? And
I've explained that to Grandma, and she's like, look, we don't mind spending a bit. I'm like, I appreciate that, but I'm not having you taking on the Nintendo tax.
yeah.
So
Okay.
so I'm trying to keep her costs reasonable, and then I'm also just, what is my kid actually going to play? I can't have this being a Mario
3D All-Star collection
3D All-Star
like, over
scenario,
here.
like
No?
in your house. I can't have that terrible scenario, Jeff. Your terrible waste of money. Recently.
That's right. Please don't. I could sell it to you. What's Grandma want to pay?
There we go. What's on the second-hand market? I have thought about the secondary market. I thought maybe if I just pick it up used on Kijiji or some online site
Okay.
from a person instead, could probably knock off some of that Nintendo capital.
Yeah.
But yeah, reaching out to gaming dads, what game do you think would be good for a 7-year-old? He adores Minecraft. He has loved other Mario titles. Not bizarrely, it was interesting. He loved Mario and Rabbids.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a great
Really?
game.
That's an excellent.
I love that one. Yeah.
That's a bizarrely wonderful game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Now, so currently, as it stands, I am leaning towards Sonic. So there's like Sonic Colors. He likes Sonic. He likes the games of it. He's watched like YouTubers play it. Sonic Colors runs for about like $30.
It's good.
So it feels about the right range.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a tight, kind of fast, silly, kid-friendly type of experience. I'm kind of leaning towards that. But if any gaming dads out there have a recommendation for a game for a 7-year-old, perhaps you yourselves have a kid in that range, we'd love to hear recommendations.
I mean, as long as your kid doesn't come back and be like, it's $10 for every year. It just needs to be a $70 game. I don't know what you're doing, Dad.
Here's some V-Bucks for Fortnite. Go nuts.
There you go.
It
Here's some coins
begins.
from Minecraft. Go nuts.
So that's a lot of calls to dads. So we're going to wrap up the show. But
Yes.
as a reminder, so we are looking for beer picks. We are as soon as June rolls around, we are hitting summer of beers. Looking forward to it. So if you have any beer picks, reach out to us. If you have recommendations for what to talk about to your son or daughter about what to do if you should get separated, we'd love to hear that. Pass it along to other gaming dads. And what game to purchase for a 7-year-old? What within reasonable cost? This is
Yes.
grandma money.
Right.
This is grandpa money. So like, let's not go crazy. Reasonable cost game for a 7-year-old. Any of those things, newdadgaming.com or at newdadgaming. We state that because we're going to be wrapping up here for the week. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the podcast, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. So we're looking at iTunes, Caster, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search New Dad Gaming. If you did like the show, it really helps us is a subscription and especially a review. It really helps boost the signal as we get it to as many gaming dads as possible. Look, we need to cast a wide net if we're going to get some really weird beers this year. So,
I was about to say, yeah, exactly.
so help some new dads out. Otherwise, like reaching out, one of our favorite things is to hear from other gaming dads, see their wins. We had a new addition just last week. We were able to share that on the show as a wonderful father brought a new kid into the world and had it on his chest as he played Switch. Absolutely, just swells our heart. Loves hearing about it. So, love to hear from you. Reach out to us. Give us a chat. Give us a story at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. That does it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. And until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and our audience has a lot of homework. So,
It's a lot. Yeah, this is very. We got to be careful. We don't do this every week because it's going to be.
overload
Well,
it.
let's be fair. So it's like, what games are cool to buy?
That's right. That's right.
What
It's
beers do you
fun
like drinking?
homework. Come on.
That's not homework. That's just joy.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Hey, and just because you became a dad.
Doesn't mean it's game over.
All right. See you next week.
See you later.